Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome or welcome back to So Floor, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of prime time. I'm your host, Jet, viewing and reviewing the most glamorous primetime storyline of 1983. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. There'll be no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 30 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, cool, quiet, and kicked out are the only options because we are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is So Floor. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of So Floor. I am your host with the most ineffective voice in all of the land. Forgive me, I have to beg your pardon early on this episode because 'tis the season for my voice to go on vacation. I don't know where she goes, but she leaves me for about 2 weeks every year, and I miss the memo, so I'm going to power through this. I need to speak in a lower octave today. I need to speak a little slower. I'm not trying to seduce you, but whatever happens, happens, right? We don't have time for that sort of riffraff today. We are back in Denver on Dynasty, Season 4, Episode 11, I believe, called Carousel. And if nothing else, this is the most glamorous episode of any soap opera I've ever seen in my life. It actually unlocked a core memory for me. So grab something bubbly and bright. I'm going to grab something hot so I can get through this. And we're jumping in to Season 4, Episode 11, Dynasty, Carousel. It pains me to say this, but this episode revolves around Blake and Crystal and their harrowing love story, the tale of two people who found each other in a hopeless place. They rose from the ranks from the bottom. They've been through scandal. They've been through mountaintops. They've been through burning buildings, murder cases, exploding cars, blindness, temporary blindness, exes coming out of the woodwork. Brunettes have it out for them for some reason. These people just can't win for losing. But finally, and I do mean finally, love conquers all. If you're a fan of the show, you know I have been waiting with bated breath. You know how much I love to talk about Blake and Crystal. I can't stand them for real. But for whatever reason, this is when the writers decided it's time to spark up another love story. Let's bring some romance here, because there's not really a lot going on anywhere else. When last we left, remember, Crystal has moved out of the mansion at the end of Season 3 because of all of Blake's shenanigans and Alexis's shenanigans as well. She is living in La Mirage, which is Fallon's hotel, and everything goes on there. But on this episode, after 11 episodes of waiting and wooing and winning her back, giving her jobs again, keeping her nice and close, Crystal and Blake are like, yes, it's time. It's time. Let's do this. Let's do this all over again. The producers and the writers think it's a good time to spark up a wedding. Let's relive our first wedding again. I find this to be incredibly boring. Were people really checking for Blake and Crystal? I was supposed to believe this, right? God, I know I can go all day about this, but there is no connection there. There's none. That's what this show lacks, actually. If I'm being quite honest, there's no passion between any of the lovers. Not a single one of them. Most of which being Crystal and Blake, but that's not the point. So they in love or whatever. But meanwhile, somewhere in Montana, Alexis is minding her business in her hotel room when she hears a rat-a-tat-tat-tat on the door. Well, it's Dexter, and he feels bad. He feels bad because he had planned on getting laid right after he gave her 40% of the deal they were making. Remember, Tar's hands, they were going to dig up some oil, blah, blah, blah. She flew up there to check him out after she checked out Adam's doctor, blah, blah, blah. He feels away because he thought he was wooing her. He thought she was the type of woman who was going to be like, yeah, this is a great deal. I'll be your partner, and then let's christen the night with some rompous lovemaking. Only that wasn't the case. She was annoyed. She's like, I can't let you take me to the cleaners and to bed. So she goes back to her hotel room. She puts on the silkiest of gowns. She goes to bed. Well, he shows up the next day in his short-ass jeans and his 20-inch waist. The kid is slim. This kid is tall. He looks like Kendall Jenner if she was a dude. So he comes in and he's all, hey, listen, I'm so sorry. I did take you to the cleaners yesterday, so how about this? Why don't we split the business 50-50? I want to be your partner, Alexis. Also, I want to sleep with you. She's like, Now that I can get behind. 50-50. It gets my blood going, if you know what I'm saying. So they consummate their little relationship, and a couple name is born. Millennials, you might remember Spidey. Remember when Spencer and Heidi got together on the hills? We've had Spidey. Who do we have now? God, didn't J-Lo? J-Lo's had so many. I can't even keep up with them at this point. Dex Lex was born. Dex Lex sounds like X-Lex if you say it the wrong way. It could also sound like Dislex if you're not really thinking about it. But yeah, Lex Dex is born. They have forged a company together, and it is going to be magical. Also, they go together now, I suppose. That's her boo thing for the rest of this episode. Flavor of the month, and I can't say I'm mad at it. I like this guy. I don't know where he's going. I don't really know if he has any ulterior motives. He doesn't seem to. Anti-hero is a good way to describe him. He doesn't really seem to be out for anybody, but he also isn't really, he's not the guy you're going to call and get in trouble. Speaking of trouble, my girl Kirby is 5 to 6 to 7 months pregnant, about to be divorced because her husband, the incomparable angel of the show, Jeff Colby, can't take the fact that she's bereft over her father. She's been acting a little bit standoffish because she's carrying this rape spawn. And now that he knows all this, the proper thing to do is fake it till we make it. At least let this bastard of a baby of yours be born. I'll pretend to be the dad. Unless he has crap hair, then everybody's going to know it's not my kid. But I'll pretend to be the dad, then we can quietly divorce. She's like, no, we're not going to wait. Let's not waste any time. Let's just get this over with. And he agrees. But he is still continuing, even though they are going to divorce, he is still keeping up this facade as if he has never done anything wrong. He's never slept with Fallon. He continues to gaslight her even when he didn't have to. So, because everyone lives in this mansion, Kirby's at breakfast, Jeff's at breakfast, Adam is at breakfast, when Crystal and Blake burst in to tell everyone the good news. Oh my God, Blake is not reading the room, by the way. It would take half a second to look at even one person in the room to feel the tension. Like, oh my God, it's so uncomfortable in here. Blake doesn't notice. He goes, Crystal's decided to marry me again. Kirby, Adam, and Jeff are as elated as I am. They're just like, that's, okay. Oh, that's good. I have to go. Yeah, I have to go. Me too. And Blake and Crystal can't imagine why these people aren't falling over themselves for this tragic love story. It's not that important. It's not that interesting. Matter of fact, I'm damn near done talking about it. And the next episode is called The Wedding, which is even more disappointing. I haven't finished that one yet, but I still want to do the double dose and go ahead and get these out of the way. Kirby's in the study and she and Jeff are having a chat. They can't very well announce their divorce at a wedding. That's just in poor taste. So they agree they're going to announce it to everyone after this second sham of a wedding. Adam burst in to talk to her. He's been kind of being uncomfortable this whole time, ever since he and Jeff had that tussle, the JCPenney tussle at the penthouse suite. And he's just like, Kirby, listen, this is my kid. Are you really telling me that I have to pretend like Jeff is the father? I don't want my baby to be raised by Jeff. I want to raise my baby. She's like, there's absolutely no chance I could do that, dude. You have to understand. Well, Jeff burst in right about then, breaks up the conversation, and ushers Kirby off. This is all very confusing. There's really no... this is very confusing. This is very sloppy writing at this point. Luckily, Dynasty is pretty. Everybody is shining. The rest of the episode really does revolve around this carousel ball. The carousel ball, from what we can tell, is a ball that was originally put on in 1979 for children with diabetes that were raising money for research. We know this because Tracy, the possibly deranged sidekick, is telling Adam all of this while she's like hinting that she wants to be his date. Tracy is doing this thing that drives me crazy. She's going on and on about, well, are you mad at me because I didn't fall all over you because you're good looking? Yeah, you're attractive, but I just didn't want to fall all over you the other day. She's bringing up old stuff. He's completely zoned out, obviously thinking about this baby. She, like Blake, is not reading the room. It's supposed to be flirtatious. It's supposed to be very playful, but she's not picking up on his monotone, please get the hell out of my office signal. She may not be able to read a room, but what she can do is plot. I believe Tracy has a plan here. It is very important that she be at this ball. However, the more I think about it, I can't imagine why she wouldn't have been invited. From what I can tell, it's been put on by Blake Carrington. I forgot a tiny, tiny side character this episode. Peter the filibuster is back on here. He's seducing Fallon there in bed. And I don't know if he's making a fake phone call or if he's making a real phone call. But he's talking about that horse he owns and how he needs to get rid of some shares in it. Fallon's like, hey, I know a guy. Don't go do anything crazy right away. Let me talk to my father. She talks to Blake. He agrees to buy the horse for Crystal as a wedding gift. Love is in the air. And if I'm hearing this correctly, it's about $2 million. So the filibuster is $4 million short of his goal. Now, I thought he only had a week to collect $6 million. Perhaps I'm wrong, but he's showing up this episode. And we discover a couple of things about him, too, a little bit later on. Peter Piper also makes an appearance at Blake's office after the horse deal is done. He is beyond creepy. He doesn't blink. His vaguely European, vaguely Northeastern. I feel like I hear a little bit of a Pakanahawa in his voice a little bit of that Maryland accent, the ornery, a little bit of that. I don't know where this man is from. I don't know who he is. I don't believe the whole I'm a son of a knight, blase. Jeff is flipping through a magazine, walking through the hallway. Fibulator is flipping through a magazine, waiting on Fallon. Boom. Jeff runs into him. Jeff's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Defibrillator's like, no worries. Fallon comes out right about that time. She and Crystal were in there going on and on about their men that nobody gives a crap about. So she walks out and she goes to Jeff, oh, you met Peter. Jeff is immediately suspicious. Well, no, not yet. She introduces him as, this is just this guy who's selling a horse to my dad. Isn't that great? Oh, Peter, yes, Jeff and I were related by marriage. Okay, we have to go now. Goodbye. They go in the elevator. Of course, the elevator door closes way too slowly, but it's taken forever to close, so Jeff gets to see them kissing and so now he knows, oh man, I just broke up with this pregnant girl to get with Fallon, and Fallon has moved on. Once again, not reading the room. Jefferson, Japhon. How many times have we been through this? Fallon don't want you like that. You are a one bang out, wham bam, thank you ma'am, one time a season. He don't get it. She'd rather be with this non-blinking creepy weirdo than Jeff. And it is what it is, because quite frankly, all of this is very, very boring. Like I said, no chemistry, not a drop between anybody on this show, not one person. We are finally to the piece de resistance, the Carousel ball. Like I said, it's huge. They took footage from an actual event. I thought it might have been the Oscars. I thought it might have been, maybe it was a premiere. That makes the most sense. That you have all these people yelling and lining up, because why else would fangirling over Crystal and Blake? It just doesn't make any sense. That would not happen in the context of this story, but it makes sense for like a premiere. Either way, it looks really cool. This party looks like it's the place to be. There's quite literally thousands of people there. And there's actual footage of, circular tables, tons of them, probably 30, 40 tables, lots of music. So there's like these aerial shots of that. And then of course the close up, you can tell it's in a studio. But as I'm watching all this gold lame and the shiny jewelry and these feather boas and stuff, a couple of things cross my mind. I'm realizing that my idea of glamour is very much born from where the generation I grew up in. Late 80s, 90s heavily influences my idea of glamour with like the boas, the big shoulders, all those things. Of course, we wouldn't wear that today, but it made me wonder, what do little girls look at as glamorous now? Because I see girls in high school and I'm like, damn, they're wearing a lot of makeup. Like they're waking up early to put on a full face, they're contouring, they got on the lashes, the gloss. Girl, we were good to get out of the house with lip smackers on 90% of the time. And then I'd do my makeup in first period. And trust me, it was not that intricate. It was not that deep. But that was, late 90s, early 2000s glam is totally different than 80s hard glam. So I feel like these things are cyclical. If I look at girls in the 80s, it is high glam. I look at girls now, it's like the same thing. So I love to kind of see that come full circle. I had like a weird memory pop back up. Among the many things that Gen Z missed out on is photo sessions. Not the photo sessions where you go in the bathroom and you can flip your camera around. You can take pictures of yourself when your makeup looks good, when your makeup looks cute. No, no, no. Gen X, older millennials in general, I think you kind of get this. We did grow up more with the phones towards the end, early adulthood and all that. But I'm saying going to J.C. Penney's for your family portrait, having a full-on photo session. You could go get a corn dog, then you can go to J.C. Penney's, get your hair cut, and then have a full photo session where you walk in, you pick out the backdrop. You remember, kind of like the school photos. They come that once a semester. They give you a comb. The guy would always distort and twist your head and neck in a weird way and then take the picture. He knew what he was doing. I should have paid attention because I'm terrible at pictures now. But I had this really funny memory of my mom coming home one day and she was super pumped. All the ladies in our little town were excited because they'd gotten these flyers on their cars about glamour photos. Do you guys remember glamour photos? Let me tell you something. There was nothing more chic than being a fourth grader with a glamour shot, okay? Nothing. So my mom and all the other moms are super pumped because there's flyers on the car, and I think it was just a couple months away. You're supposed to call this number. Someone was going to set up your appointment. I remember it being kind of a big deal because they were expensive. It was around $190, $200 for these pictures. So the day comes, and my mom and I don't go to a studio. We weren't in J.C. Penney's because our town didn't have a mall. But we ended up going down to the local hotel. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be like in a lobby. No, there's no lobby, mind you. If this is in the late 90s, mid 90s, something like that, that hotel would have been built around the 50s. So use your imagination. Glamorous? Not at all. But we go into this hotel room. I think they tell us to go to room 222. We knock on the door, and this small gentleman pops out, and he's got a greasy little ponytail. And I'll never forget, he had the biggest boots I've ever seen in my life. Like his feet were humongous for such a short guy. So we go in the room and doesn't it sound like a horror movie? My dad was so pissed when he figured out that they was in a hotel room. But anyway, there were other people who had left. So we go in and our session is set up. So there's literally 2 beds, red carpet, red bedding, and there's these like 5 or 6 backdrops, just solid red, solid green. And him and my mom are getting along swimmingly. They're kikiing, they're cackling, they're talking about people, they're talking about TV shows. And he pulls out this caboodle, and he has like 6 different colors of lipstick. All of them suck. Smears it on my 9-year-old face, does a little blush, does a little this, that, or the third. My mom puts my hair up in a ponytail. When I mentioned that the makeup sucked, the makeup sucked. I'm this little chocolate girl with an 80-year-old white woman's makeup on. So we get in front of the camera, and he's setting everything up, and he's like, oh, point this way, point this way. Then he gives me a feather boa. Oh my God, this is really glamorous. This shot, leather jacket comes on. Oh my God. How many of you have these exact pictures at home? I just know I'm speaking to a generation here. So I put on the leather jacket, and it's not just any leather jacket, y'all. It's a leather jacket with rhinestones on the lapel. So I put the shades on, I drop them. Oh my God, I'm killing it. I'm so glamorous. My mom buys the biggest pictures. She still has them to this day. It's at least, God, I'm not great with measurements, but if you went into a museum and you saw a portrait, it's like a portrait. I think I have like 3 of those. Cute as that can be. But glamour shots were so important. I know so many women who have that feather boa and the teased hair, and it's like they put a little Vaseline over the lens. And mind you, being an elder millennial, this is where things get a little bit tricky because we're always on the tail end of something. So it was okay when I was a little kid. By the time I were in high school, people would go to the mall and you would do less corny glamour shots, same sort of fuzzy background. I think they would do it in a little kiosk in the middle of the mall. But you can go and take pictures with your friends. There was levels to this. Like there was the photo shoot in a weird seedy hotel. Then there's the next tier down would be in a kiosk in the mall with a dolphin swimming in the background. You and your friend back to back doing stupid poses like you're in a 90s boy band. It was incredible. What a time to be alive. But when I saw this episode, that's the first thing I thought. Like, that's why they thought that was glamorous back then. I guess that's what glamour is to me. Glamour is being really dressed up for no reason. In the middle of the day, hair, jewelry, usually a gown. I don't ever think anybody's glamorous in a pantsuit, but I guess you could be. Anyway, at this glamorous carousel ball, of course, it is a Carrington's coming out party, I suppose. They're walking around as a couple. Crystal is just elated because she has this big Zsa ring on her hand again. And there's nothing else that really, really goes on. Stephen and Blake make up with each other after Claudia is insulted for wearing off the rack. Now Alexis and Dex are sitting at the table with Claudia and Stephen. And Alexis tells her, Claudia, you look really great. That dress matches your eyes. She says weirdly, the dress matches your eyes. Why is that weird? I don't know. Claudia's like, thank you so much. Yeah. Alexis asks her, did you buy that off the rack? I did. Stephen interjects like, Mom, I don't care if she and 15 other people wore it. She looks the best in it. And Alexis is like, Stephen, I'm just saying. I've seen this dress 15 times. Can I just hook her up with my guy? Just one time. Me personally, I would take her up on that offer because I, quite frankly, can't be trusted. Tell me why a pair of jeans I thought I bought on Black Friday showed up today with rhinestones on the front. I do not know how this happens. It happens every time I order from this particular store online. I get something and I either look like a weird pilgrim, I look like a couch, or they're rhinestone jeans. Who does that? Anyway, take the advice, Claudia. That's all I'm saying. Take the advice. She dances with Dex Lex, or whatever his name is. Nothing really happens there. She's like, yeah, I'm fresh out of the clink. You know what I'm saying? I did a stint in the loony bin, but I'm back now. I'm married or whatever. Crystal and Blake relive their breakfast announcement moment again, this time in front of all of Denver. With a straight face, Blake grabs a microphone at this benefit, which, from what I can tell, is a star-studded event. Because at one moment, this guy comes in, and I'm like, hey, that's Henry Ford. And then my brain was like, I think Henry Ford would have been dead by then, Jet. Like, oh yeah, you're right. That's Harrison Ford. No, that's not Indiana Jones, Jet. So I'm like, it's a Ford. It's President Ford. Gerald, is that his name? President Gerald Ford's in this. And there's a couple other people that stop Alexis and say stuff. I'm sure they were famous at the time. He's the only one I really recognize. But so the president's there. Celebrities, designers, I'm assuming. I'm sure some athletes. Instead of passing the mic to the head of the charity so that, these children with diabetes can get this research money. No. We got something better for y'all. They pass the mic to Blake Carrington. And he professes his love once again for a woman he thought he married, only she had an ex-husband that she forgot to divorce. So, that whole thing was null and void. If you were there 3 years ago, be prepared to come back again. Crystal has agreed to be my wife again. Crystal Grant Carrington is going to be Crystal Carrington again. How embarrassing. To me, you're really going to pronounce that your not even ex-wife, your super long-time living girlfriend that you've broken up with 177 times, is now going to be your wife, and the whole room explodes with just joy and laughter because everyone cares. That's it. That's all, the end. Little bit slow. Despite the glamorous outfits and the quick little witty reads, Crystal and Blake are getting married and somehow someone cares. Stephen and Blake made up and somehow someone cares. That's about it. All right, guys, join me next time as we jump into this fiasco of a wedding. God, I hope there's an explosion here because we're losing steam, Dynasty, halfway through the season, and I really don't care what else happens here. In the meantime, in between time, if you get a flyer on your car for a free glamour shot in a seedy hotel, you bet your bottom dollar, bring your own makeup because they're going to play you, and those pictures will live on forever and ever. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, stay glamorous, and keep all of your drama on TV.